do something. And so that's what we are doing. We are trying now to organize the information that we had access to during those days, and now we had also some very intense presentations. And now usually we would organize this information based on what we've done, and we would like to give you the floor now, open the mic to you. Synodality implies responsibility, and so we would like to have your participation here today. Now, the first thing I would like to share with you is that we need to be aware that what we are doing is original. We are all scholars or people involved in academia, and when we take part in congresses, we are researchers or professors. But now what we have here is the rectors or presidents of universities, not only those that make the decisions at universities, but they have the legitimacy of having been elected by their peers. So they were granted this place, this position, and this is unique. But if nothing is conveyed, nothing exists. If we're not able to communicate, nothing exists. And so Father is there working in real time, sitting next to Paola, what is being said here, and those notes will be written down, recorded in 3 languages, but they will not go beyond the Catholic circle. The Pope sent us a video, and the first message recorded by the Pope, everyone knows that the rectors of an entire continent and also from Spain and Portugal are gathered to debate about the ecological debt, but there is no outlet anywhere that has published that we have here gathered 200 rectors or presidents of very important universities from Canada, US, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Latin America, and also Spain and Portugal. So the first thing is, how can we commit with the disclosure of our work, not only through the Catholic press, but expanding the reach of this disclosure, and we hope that you bring us some ideas. Well, hello, my name is Guevara from Mexico City, Iberian American University, and we have reached a conclusion in our group that the ROOC has a very powerful structure based on an important element, which is communication. We have a communication department, and we need to convey the message and also use our means to raise awareness and to reach out to different places. And also we have some very interesting tools available like AI. We have short courses, training that are offered. We have access to the press, and we could also ask influencers to help us conveying our messages, because the common home is possible. And what is this message? Because to convey something, we need to know what we want to convey. What is the goal of the work we've been doing over these days? We have mentioned it in every session. We have here people who make decisions every day. So what is our commitment for Belém in November, which is right there at the corner? So what kind of proposal are we going to defend? Good afternoon. First and foremost, I think that what we should do is to reunite, because that's where our strength is. The founder of ROOC is here, And I never forget how in his office he was able in the past to bring together many rectors of different universities. And I invite all of you to join RUC because we will have then a greater presence and we will be more powerful in trying to convey our message. And we can see how this is conveyed to the student population. We are speaking of a large number of people who could be those that broadcast our message, and we need to publish something, of course, a conclusion. And I know that all of those who are here aim to support or to do something to mitigate climate change. And what we can do is to use economic power. And I want a Rook to grow. It has a very important social meaning and also ideas to help us work on this situation and finding solutions. And we also count on individual support, but that's what I ask you to reflect on. Let's build a powerful Rook. If we understand that this is the path to follow, let's move ahead. Thank you. Good afternoon. It seems to me that part of Rook's work is that it doesn't say, okay, that's all, we've done everything, everything's ready. No. It promotes these discussions and this exchange, and of course, everything that was said here is not necessarily obvious to everyone. It is obvious to our universities, so maybe we should consider this starting by what brought us here. Pope Francis brought us here, and I refer to the 10 years, the 10th anniversary of Laudato Si, and what happened after Laudato Si was published. So what was shown to us on the first day is why we were gathering here. Why did Francis summoned us here? For the students to make noise. So we cannot remain quiet. What are we going to do? Students make noise so that we listen to them. And what are we going to do to be heard? In higher education, for instance, I think that we have some very revolutionary elements. Where are we going to make our noise, and what kind of noise are we going to make? It seems to me that this needs to be very clear. We need to start this noise amongst ourselves because many of us we are here, but we do not have, for instance, agreements or any other formal framework supporting us. But and I agree with the fact that we need to do some noise. It is a step forward. Of course, the final goal is much higher than that. But we have the support of some organizations, but the first step is to gather this power by being together, remaining together, because then we are stronger and we are able to solve some of the problems that we identified. And I am saying that I'm not part of Rook, but I will leave this place by being part of RUC, but many institutions in Europe and in the US, well, we have almost all of us, we have agreements with RUC, and that's our commitment to be bigger, stronger, and it is a mission that we need to support. It's maybe an impossible mission, but we need to know how to change things. Good afternoon. I would like to provoke you somehow because technology is not neutral. As you know, it tries to inject silent values in our students and very much like capitalism imposing norms and putting pressure on whatever we do. And the university, is it brave enough to inject its values? And I am not speaking of Catholic values, which are shared by me and by this home, but the ethical values and human values, this courage, we need to have it because the world has it, and so our mission would be this opposing power force that would bring this vision to our students as opposed to what the world is bringing. Very briefly, I would say that those days allowed us to recover our belief in those things because back in Argentina we find it very difficult. We find many difficulties, many obstacles, and this space here and this gathering here renewed our hope. And so I think that the best we can do is work in order to multiply what we've seen here. It seems to me that both in COP and also elsewhere, what we want is to build majorities that are strong enough to build a better world. And it seems to me that this is our obligation and what we can do. And what can we as universities do? That's the question I make here. Okay, is there anyone else? So we are going to give you the floor, but very briefly, please. And wait, what is the question? Is what do we want to deliver here? What is our deliverable? What do we want to take to Belém? So we heard dreams and we built our proposals, but what about COP, the Conference of Parties to establish a pact? Well, it seems to me that it is crucial that we defined a legal framework that should be binding so that the agreements are respected, and something that we could propose at COP. So you've heard me speaking already, but I would like to share an experience from Argentina and also propose what has just been said. Flavio, who is here, knows what I'm talking about. In Argentina, we have a conflicting university in Argentina because of our current government, our current administration, and there are some people who complain about it. But what I would like to say is that since, as our colleague said, what we need to do is to offer some base, some foundation based on the work of experts, sociologists and theologists and so on and so forth, so that we have a legal foundation for our proposal. And also secondly, that we agree that there is some kind of mobilization at each of our countries, and the students will be the ones who in their space they would express the legitimacy of these manifestations or complaints. And because in Argentina, society was fighting for their right to education. So I think that students could carry this proposal, and society should follow. Okay, someone said that the fastest way to do something is to do it. So I would like to see it done with the academic authority that we have. And after this meeting, I would like to say that now it's time to do something. It's now time to make decisions and to implement measures. We have no more time to spend or to waste. We need to do. And that's what I would like to see being brought to COP. Good afternoon. My name is Francisco and I come from Mexico. We are an institution specialized in social environmental issues, and I will be brief, but when I see all of the universities that came from all over the world, it seems to me that we have a concrete opportunity to be to learn very much from this. Well, we are in the face of the urgent need to build or rebuild the world through a cultural revolution. And as the Pope said, let's build with the help of a rook, a bigger rook, a bigger network. I'm sorry, so that we can all convey what is done or communicate what is done in our communities and our regions. Thank you very much. I would like to touch on three very concrete aspects. First of all, communication, and I cannot mention more than my colleagues already said. Each institution has the possibility to organize promotion campaigns about what has been said here. And another aspect for me is that us as universities, what can we
and what this role has to do with research and teaching. So we formed 4 groups, at least 4 regional groups, working groups, about the 4 dreams that would take care of the environmental, economic, socio-cultural sciences. And through the group of experts, we can draft a document with a political and ethical basis in which we can involve other higher education institutions so that we can reach October with something to offer. And other universities and associations can join. I would like to call you to potentialize the political impact that will stem from this meeting. Unfortunately, we're not part of COP. Nobody who's here is going to sit at COP and vote. We can reach. We're not the states, but we can reach the states. States that in their public policy agenda can bring forward this agenda. It's a sort of silent fight that allows us to think about a charter that would be written by Rook, where we would devise our major contributions. Thank you very much. So let's continue to talk about the proposals. So a charter is one of the proposals. I was thinking, my name is Sandoval from Manaus, and I was here thinking that we are imagining a proposal, a concrete proposal for COP. But I was thinking that in addition to this proposal, maybe we should do something that we can decide to do. Not we. I don't think we should wait for COP. We should wait for the ministers to act. The state representatives do at COP, but something that as RUC, as universities, with all our potential, we could be doing concretely to benefit or for the defense or the protection of our common home. This is something that we can do. We can mobilize our power to bring to fruition the protection of our common home. And this could turn into a proposal for COP, of course. But I believe that we also have to start working, because there's a lot we can do. There are many universities that are involved. And I believe that one of the main proposals that I think we can do as RUC is to create a curricular program inspired and based on Laudato Si. It could be our inspiration for us to build a curriculum to be used in all RUC universities. Amado? Well, good afternoon to all. First of all, I would like to I agree with not waiting for COP. Include and mobilize youth, establish or an order prioritize. As RUC, we would make a commitment to talk to our president and our director, and we're going to make this commitment. But we would like to ask you that we work with I would like to ask you to work with the youth in your university. We can be the joining force, but you have to work in each one of your universities, because I believe what was said in the beginning was that the powerful environment that we have here, if we bring together everything that you've got, and if everybody works together, the power that we're going to have in any direction will start with the communication that you bring to your territories. The actions maybe will not have as big a repercussion as if 1 million people go to take the streets, as what happened in Argentina. So we need not only to mobilize, but also work on the different programs that you have in your university. And there are many curricular programs following Laudato Si. I think that we can commit to publish these curricula so that other universities can adopt them. We can share some good practices. And to conclude, it's a call for action. Involve youth and work together. We are at your disposal and at RUC disposal to do exactly that. Good afternoon. I am from the University in Guatemala. I believe that everything that was said is truly valuable. But we think to consider that having a solid proposal brought by the working group from different universities with the experts, ourselves as universities of important political actors in our countries, we should have, and we have to have, this approximation with our government, so that the ministers of environment, especially those who are going to be part of COP, learn that this is not a proposal by one single university or a group of universities from a country. It's a proposal from a number of universities that have worked together with solid research that are bringing an executive summary. We need to do this lobby with one page one page of requests that are possible, feasible, and this is urgent if we want them to work at COP, because currently the negotiations are happening. So we need to strengthen ourselves, work as political actors, strong political actors, which are universities. So we need to demand our governments, that our governments bring that to COP and strengthen our cause. Thank you. One page and roadmap. Here we have another request for the floor. And after Rita here. I'm from the University of Mar del Plata in Argentina. Concrete proposal. I think this will mean, I'm sorry, Kate, it will mean more work for you. We need to build interinstitutional teams to work on the economic determination of the debt. If we manage to bring together economists and, of course, environmentalists from different universities in one inter-university research project, this would be a key contribution for COP. And also bring together lawyers and social communicators. Thank you very much, Rita. I thought about something that's very practical that will be improved by what you said. If we're at 200 universities here, why not replicate this event in our 200 places of origin, with establishing this dialogue where we will be able to invite the local ministry, Minister of the Environment, and the other representatives to have having the same discussion in each one of our universities with people who are locals, who then delivering the conclusions of this Congress here. I think this would be a way to replicate what we've done here. Peter, Laudato Si Institute, Oxford.
There will be strategic, not content. I think there is a great mobilizing spirit here. And I see COP as one of the milestones for this network to flourish. Not the ultimate one, but a very important one. If we from LSRI in Oxford can join your network, even though we are not Ibero-Latin American, we would be really pleased. What can happen among this group and the network are a few official statements, which are very important, commitment of the network. And that will be, I think, building the network as such. And they could be launched and then pressed towards, as it was mentioned, local and state governments, as well as multilateral bodies. That's a top-down approach. It's necessary. It's very important. What will also happen is a bottom-up approach. Many students from the universities of RUC and many professors, with or without your consent, will be there. Maybe 10, but I think it's going to be hundreds, if not thousands. I'm counting on thousands. So that's a very easy way to harvest what is there already and organize events in the green zone as well as the blue zone during the COP, because they're there already. So the top-down approach can join the bottom-up approach. And we also, I think, can count on the role of the Catholic Church. They have a strong delegation from the Vatican, but they also have local representation, especially from the Amazon. And we think that is extremely important. And last but not least, next week I hope to be in Brasilia to talk to the person in charge of organizing COP30 in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil. And we could suggest this kind of collaboration and have the universities, I have to stop, join. Thank you.
Gracias, Pablo.
Bueno, yo quiero...
Muito obrigado. Thank you very much, Pablo. I would like to add along two lines. The first one is that, as Mr. Rector was saying, unfortunately we don't have people who are going to be in these rooms or in these meetings. Some may be in this blue zone negotiating and making the decisions for our countries. So I'd like to say something very clearly. The other day that we've been working to consolidate at least an initiative along a number of lines that could comprise a document and be part of the silence diplomacy. And this would be very important because the proposal that we have will not be heard if the countries do not propose it. So our task, and we've talked about this oftentimes, our role is to do silent diplomacy with the ministers in our countries, because this is the time when the position of each one of the countries are being set. And so this proposal needs to be lobbied, and we need to discuss this right now. I believe that this is fundamental and key because the countries have not yet defined their positions. And another very important thing is that nothing will be discussed at COP that was not previously agreed upon with the countries. And I believe that this is key. We are at a time in which we can bring this document to different countries, and we can obtain the synergy. And I believe that as part of a company and a delegation that has just negotiated in Cali an agreement and a partnership, I believe that Brazil can also help us so that this initiative of today can be a proposal that Brazil will bring and will have the support of CARICOM, of the African Union, and this is a very strong bloc, and we need the support. Thank you, Pablo. My name is Marcus from Caritas America Latina, Latin American and Caribbean. I would like to thank Edmilson for the invitation to be here. I would like to reinforce the proposal from the Guatemalan rector. I did not get her name and Pablo's name. And also call your attention to a point. The path from Rio to Belém goes through Bonn, which is the main conference between COP30. And this happens within 3 weeks. The main negotiations for COP are carried out in Bonn. So it is important that our eyes be directed to these negotiations, and this effort, this community effort, happen the sooner the better with the ministries, and so that we can echo this. So as Caritas, we are following this and we're present in these spaces, and I would like to call your attention so that you follow the Bonn conference that will happen starting in June 16th. Ana Julia Surel, I am Executive Vice Rector of the Universidad Pedagógica Dominicana, specialized in faculty training. What I want to say has to do with what some people have already said concerning the fact that we are not going to be part of COP. However, as a proposal, I believe that we can, because COP will be comprised by delegations of countries, and we can join or demand participation in the delegations of our own countries that are going to be at COP, the delegation of universities, because we've said that many people do not know who's coming to COP. So let's find the mechanisms so that the foreign affairs relations, I don't know, so that we can be part of our delegations in our countries that are coming to COP. And in that sense, I had written down another aspect. We should organize regional meetings before COP30 so that we can set a common academic standpoint. And this, of course, happens not only regionally, should happen not only regionally, but in each country. So we should get one seat in the delegation of each one of the countries that are going.
Bueno, gracias. Buenas tardes a
Good afternoon to all. My name is Maria Villarreal from the Federal Rural University of Rio de Janeiro. All the proposals seem to be amazing to me, that I believe they're crucial. A point that I would like to say that is essential, we can't leave communication behind. So as RUC, we could have a space in the network, in the different means of communication, to broadcast periodically our articles, our papers, also science, political science papers. And right now, in the Rural University, will be part of the network as well. And we hope that this is our hope, actually. And thinking about mobilizing our own universities to think about tools that would help us dialogue with a broader audience, videos that could be online, could be posted online, that would allow us to do this silent diplomacy, but also get our attention to get where we want to get. I'm Roberto from University of Huesca in Argentina, thinking about different lines of action. I got a proposal here and I'm going to promote it. A small project to follow at RUC. And our commitment would be to write it. You can then adapt it as you wish. For example, the year has 54 weeks, give or take. So let's think about 50 weeks, 50 things that we can do to save our planet. Every week, we would post a small article in our websites with a concrete action. Our commitment would be to write down these 50 actions. We can adjust them.
This is one of our proposals, and if you're interested, please let us know and we could move forward with it. And then one of our companions colleagues were saying yesterday that we will not be at the places where people make the decisions necessarily, but Rector Greco proposed something. I don't really recall his wording, but it was about organizing a mobilization in Belém that could be replicable at each of our places, because this is something that worked when there was a mobilization before, and then actions were replicated during a given time, and 40 seconds or something like that, and there was a huge impact on social networks. So this is a way of putting pressure on those that have this decision-making place. And from our position, and the project that was mentioned by Sylvain from Orsac regards the universal inclusion of social and environmental responsibility for caring for our common home. Of course, we can change the sentence, but the idea is that the document presented at COP contains this suggestion that the decisions or measures taken by countries, that they be based on an interventionist model and not a model in which there is only a declaration, a statement. Mexico in those socks. What I propose is becoming more visible by using other means like art itself within campuses or some or otherwise, echoing this event through different artistic and cultural manifestations, not only scientific ones, but involving many different domains and different kinds of expression like narrative contests, painting, poetry, sculpture, every kind of artistic manifestation that could make use of a different language, but that would include young people from every university, all the universities that are here represented by you, so that we give them a voice because they communicate with each other, and many times we are not able to reach them, so it would be an idea. Okay, thank you very much. We still have three people who raised their hands. So what do you want, the good news or the bad news first? Okay, the bad news is we're late. We are very late. 30 years, maybe not, but I believe that, uh, yes, my colleague mentioned the name of a city which is midway between Rio and Belém. If you ask for a car to go from Rio to Belém, we cannot reach this city. It's Bonn in Germany. In 3 weeks, the negotiator teams will be there sitting around tables and making decisions and building the agenda for Belém. And what is the good news? You're asking yourselves. Or you don't want to know the good news. Would you like to know the good side of it? Okay, the good news is what I've seen during this week was a very strong willingness, a willingness to act and to move forward. And this is very important, the willingness to move ahead. The university occupies a very, very special place in society. And I don't need to come here and explain to you who dedicated your life to consolidate and defend this position in some countries and defending also this autonomy. However, we need to make use of it, make use of this position, and it means to move from word to action because parrots can speak. But in our institutions, universities, not only in the global north, but also in the global south, here, we have enough capacity, enough technical capability, more than enough technical capabilities to act. So when we think of COPs, we don't need to deal with an issue of lack of capability. That's not the case. We need to think of a problem related to goods, communication, marketing. We need to have a political campaign. We need to have a good marketing campaign. We need to have good communication. There are professional communicators here. What do you say usually? Messages need to be few in number and clear. So today, Ambassador André Correa do Lago wrote a letter to the world uh, encouraging action and encouraging also, according to his words, encouraging to link the COP agenda to real life. University plays this role in society, translating science into something usable by society, delivering to people something that makes sense. Those that know me know that I've been working on these aspects for some years, and we need to establish a link between higher levels and universities and all the other levels. Universities are not NGOs, churches are not NGOs either. So I would end by saying action, urgency, and how much this event showed us through Pook, Rook, and others here how important this is. So good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank you first and foremost. I would like to thank for the invitation to be here, and now I. I will try to be very brief, but we have a definition of proposal in technical terms. It would be an agreement, as we saw on the first day, and the rector of San Martin University developed. Well, he talked about the need to move into action based on what we have identified and what we have built over 10 years after Pope Francis's encyclical. So we need to have the mechanisms that will allow us to review the topic of the debt and and there are some antecedents regarding the IMF, and it is important to have access to this information, and it is important also to establish a good communication so that we reach COP with a clear message, but also it is important to know how we are going to convey the message. So we need to build a campaign and also raise the awareness that goes beyond universities, but they continue being a central element. And thirdly, the Vatican. Vatican is a state besides being the headquarters of the Catholic Church, and we have people who work in this state, and they can come closer to the Pope and then try to expose the proposals that we've worked on here. And in an act of diplomacy, and maybe we could reach higher levels through diplomacy. And I would ask our colleagues to record these ideas and to write down, and also to monitor how we are going to disclose this to the general public. And also I would encourage those that are close to the Vatican to reach out to the Pope and maybe having his support regarding the proposal we're going to present at COP. Thank you very much. And we've heard the video in which he mentions Rook, and I would recommend, actually, I encourage you to move forward with this issue of the ecological debt, and the Pope, which is the highest authority. Well, he knows Rook, and he was present. He was present at our meeting at Book. He sent us a message, and this has been coordinated by someone. So we do have a channel of communication. And this is an important voice. What we need to do, as we said yesterday, we asked Madam Minister Marina Silva to help us defining what the proposal would be so that we understand how it will be presented. But there are many states that are not necessarily in agreement with the new pontiff, like the U.S. And so I don't think that we are late. Actually, I'm not sure you heard the news today. Harvard University was targeted by President Trump and his administration, but the local justice in the U.S. blocked his initiative. So universities need to recover their legitimacy. We are seeing many movements against it. And the theologian said, who says what is true? Well, today, this can be defined in a Twitter. So how can we recover the legitimacy of universities regarding those aspects? And it is important then that everyone knows that you are all here gathered with the approval by of the Pope, with his support. So this new Pope is sending a message asking us, or as Rook, asking us to develop a proposal. And it seems to me that it has a very strong symbolic value. Besides the help that we can obtain from our economists that can act at international banks, there will be a meeting in Sevilla, Spain, in 2 weeks' time. It would be important to be there, but as Pope Francis said, he asked us to organize or to recover hope. It seems to me that there is hope, but should we have something in writing? Yes, it seems that, yes, there is a document. Well, not really a document. Pope Francis did not like to sign documents. He said that what we did was to start processes. So he liked communiques. And so now we are going to give the floor to Augustina. First of all, I would like to thank all of you. I think that this is a crucial experience. We need to think in the short, mid, and long terms. There are proposals that could fit a long process. I think that strengthening ROOC is an opportunity. This is historical, as it has been said. The Pope sent us his first video recorded message, and now we have met. We know each other, so it's the same ROOC, but it's a new ROOC that we are seeing in a moment of renewal. So this is clear. People speak, and we can feel that we are starting a historical moment. So there are things that were said that could fit a long-term vision, and there are other things that are more specific in time, like COP30 and the negotiations that are ongoing. And we have an economist. We had an economist in the room that could help us conveying our message to decision-making people. It is also important, the relationship with governments. It's important to have this diplomacy, and we can, from our universities, we can express our strength and our voice. And this is important, and it regards every country and institution. But this moment that we are living, this event from Rio to Belém, makes us stronger. Of course, with many tasks to be performed, but also we were nurtured by this experience, and we thought of writing down a statement, but in the end we decided for the name of a global call. A global call, and the content is already defined more or less. That's what we started doing here, speaking of the debt and telling the world that we positioned ourselves as a network. And so I believe that there is nothing new in this sense. We are going to repeat what we've started saying, that we are a network, that we were here together, we met, and that we ask people to consider the debt, the topic of the debt. We are going to go to the statue of Christ the Redeemer, and it will be a symbolic gesture also. It's more like a performatic act. But from this point, of course, we are going to move into more concrete actions. And I think that we will need to approve, of course, the draft of this document, and Augustina is going to read here, and then later we can read it again at the Christ. Thank you, Anderson. I thank you first and foremost for the time that you spent here. At Rook, we organized ourselves with the organization of these meetings was done by Rook. It is important. I'm sorry, her mic is off apparently, or something is wrong. The sound is very far from us. The technician is going there. Just a minute, please, of your patience. Okay. I would like to leave a message to Dr. Nisekuda, and if we could convey the message to Pope Leo that during 4 days, I don't know how many rectors are here, we canceled our agendas in our workplaces to be here, and this is a huge gesture regarding the commitment we made with Pope Francis. And so I would also like to thank our colleagues, because all of us, we are very busy, and we had to stop or interrupt our agenda to be here for 4 days. And so everyone who is here, thank you very much. We have written this text, as Father Anderson was saying, jointly with the help of our team, and based on your ideas. And so a global call from Rio de Janeiro. Ibero-American Universities for Climate Justice gathered in Rio de Janeiro at the Iberian American Congress of Universities for Our Common Home. And on the path from Rio to Belém, over 200 private, lay, and confessional universities from Latin America, the Caribbean, and Spain, Portugal, and the United Kingdom were expressing their collective voice in the face of a planetary urgency at this place, which is the Christ the Redeemer. We express our commitment with strengthening the path that we started in the historical audience, that hearing that was granted by Pope Francis in 2023, at which he called us to organize hope. We know that climate crisis is not a future threat. It is a present reality that affects mainly the most vulnerable peoples and territories. And in the face of this context, we, the universities, cannot be left aside. We have an ethical, scientific, pedagogical, and an institutional responsibility to act. That's why rectors here reunited, we make an urgent call for the urgent exercise of an ecological and environmental justice that hears the cry of the earth and of the most affected people, involving states and institutional bodies acting in order to solve, to reach a remission of this public and ecological debt. We invite every community, company, native people, organizations, and others to build integration bridges between the north and the south, the public and private, between varied cultures and peoples, with a sincere listening and in support of this common dialogue. And in this sense, we would like to add also the spiritual, educational domains, and informing new generations capable of inhabiting a world with more justice and sustainability. And this call is not a symbolic gesture.
It is, above all, an action of awareness and collective action. The universities gathered here work for a greater future. And so we say there's no social justice without ecological justice. There's no future without commitment. Great. So, Father Anderson, I believe you have an invitation to make with the activity that is coming. Jacqueline? Well, first, we would like to do a little gesture of gratitude to these two women who helped us, Emilce and Agustina. Please come forward. It's a small token of gratitude from Marina Silva, who made this with her own hands.
Gracias también.
And thank you very much to the teams who have worked hard, the teams in the university. I would like to say that many of you have thanked me. Thank you, President. But actually, it's been a new experience. It's been the first time that teams, young teams, people who were very happy to have worked. And last, I would like to thank the journalists who have followed us, but they've written down what we've been through these days, and made sure that what we felt and lived here was conveyed to other people. So thank you, journalists. Thank you very much. And the invitation is very simple. Now we're going to have I promise caipirinhas. So finally there will be caipirinha. Here we're going to move in the hall. There would be caipirinha, a cocktail, and also a samba performance from Vila Isabel Samba School. Amazing. Thank you very much. And I'll see you tomorrow morning. Please, tomorrow at Christ the Redeemer. Okay? See you tomorrow. Have a great celebration.